Hey everyone, welcome to this week's lab. This week's lab, when we look at Chapter 7, is looking at specifically, now that we've talked about motor programs and how we control information that we get from the environment and open loop control and closed loop control. Now we're going to look at and sort of shift directions towards trying to identify what makes one person different from the next. So we're looking at individual differences and abilities and how, particularly how we study those, because it's an important part of when we look at things like motor learning and how people learn and how people acquire skills is what makes one person unique or what makes one person different from another. And studying that is extremely important. And the way that we do that is we try to find relationships between different types of variables. Now the lecture for this is going to come next week. Today is all about explaining the lab and then getting you guys going in the right direction for next Wednesday. So I'm still going to honor the syllabus and honor the holiday weekend. So nothing on Friday, nothing on Monday as far as new material or lectures or videos or anything like that. This week is all about data collection, and you can collect this data probably in about 5 minutes. It won't take you very long. Just a couple of quick instructions based on that. So the information that you need as far as inputting the data is already up on Moodle. The PowerPoint for Chapter 7 is up. And then a link to a Google Doc for an Excel spreadsheet is also up on Moodle. And all you have to do for this week is to input your data into that Excel spreadsheet. And then next Wednesday, when we have all that information, I'll go through and do the lecture that sort of explains how we look at these relationships. So there are 4 sets of data, 4 things that you need to do, and then 1 measurement that you have to do as well. So what we're doing is we're trying to find out what makes one person different from the next. And we're going to take a look at balance. We've looked at balance a little bit with closed loop control and how we are able to manipulate all of the different senses and sensory information in order to maintain balance and coordination. So we're going to build on that a little bit and try to identify if we can make some correlational decisions based on balance skills. So you're going to get measurements for 2 static balance tests, and you're going to get 2 measurements for dynamic balance tests. And then we're also going to take a look at one other thing and one other variable that we can look at, and that's a physical characteristic. So if we look at physical characteristics as far as things that can influence someone's balance ability, there are a lot of different things that we could measure. We could measure things like wingspan, fingertip to fingertip, because if you have bigger wingspan, it allows you to maintain balance and coordination a little bit better. We could also look at things like center of gravity, where someone with a lower center of gravity that's closer to the ground is going to have a little bit better control of their balance because they're not as top heavy and they're not as likely to kind of tip over when you're doing balance tests. What we're going to look at is just something a little bit unique, and we're actually going to look at foot size. Because if we look at sensory information, a lot of the information that we get for balance tasks is based on those pressure receptors that we have in the bottom of our feet. As our weight shifts a little bit, we use that information in order to maintain balance. We're going to take a look at foot shape and foot size and take a look and see if that physical characteristic influences people's balance abilities. So this is what you're going to do. For physical characteristic, it should be up on there. It's on your Google Doc. Is that I want you guys to take in, with my kind of crude drawing here, is that I want you guys to take and trace your foot on a piece of paper. So really simple, really easy. And then all you're going to do with that is you're going to get a really simple area. Now, if we wanted to be really scientific about this, we'd go through and get grid paper and do this kind of thing where we're counting squares and looking at square inches. We don't need to be that technical with it. Just take your foot tracing, take your length in inches, take your widest point in inches, and just multiply those together. So foot length times foot width will give us a general foot area. So that's your physical characteristic that you're going to measure. Now the balance scores that you're going to do is that you're going to go through each one of these 3 times. All right, so you're going to need a little bit of help with timing with this because you're not going to be able to time it yourself. So get someone with a stopwatch that allows you to kind of time these 3 things. We're going to do 2 static balance tests and 2 dynamic balance tests. Now static balance tests are pretty simple. For 3 different trials, you're going to do static balance tests. The first one that you're going to do is a really simple stork stand with your eyes closed, which we did in class. Now you guys can't see my feet, but you guys will be able to figure this out. It's pretty simple. I want you guys to do these barefoot or in socks with no shoes because we're not looking at shoe size or shoe width. That does influence balance and gives us a little bit more sturdy of a base to kind of balance on. So the first one for stork stand, eyes closed. You're gonna have someone time you. You're gonna get into a good balanced position with your hands on your hips, with one foot up, and then you're just going to get a good balanced position, and then you're gonna close your eyes. As soon as you close your eyes, someone's gonna start timing you, and all they're going to do is to time how long you can maintain this balanced position. Now, as soon as you have a significant loss of balance, whether that's your foot touches the ground, your hands come off your hips, your knee comes away from the opposite knee, then we're gonna stop your time. So you're gonna go through and do that 3 times, looking for how long you can maintain that static balance position. That's the first one. The second static balance test that you're gonna do is what's called the diver's stand. For the diver's stand, what you're gonna be doing, again, you can't see my feet, but you should be able to follow along pretty quickly. It's, again, with no shoes on, barefoot, or with socks on. You're gonna go up, you're gonna have your feet together. You're going to go up, so you guys can see, my head goes up, right? So you're gonna have your feet together, you're gonna have go up on your toes, you're going to put your hands on your hips, and then you're going to close your eyes. Now, hopefully you guys can do this a lot better than I can. You're going to maintain that position as long as you can. Again, as soon as you go out of that good balanced position, whoever's timing you is gonna stop that time. You're gonna do those 3 times and average those scores, all right? So, one-legged stork stand, eyes closed, diver stand, eyes closed, 3 trials of each, get your average time, input those on the Google Doc Excel spreadsheet. Static test. The dynamic test, a little bit different and getting some more information. So now we're gonna look at how you can maintain balance in a moving position. The first one is what's called the ankle touches, all right? So for ankle touches, what you're going to do, again, a little bit harder to demonstrate when you guys aren't here in the room with me, and I don't think that I can get this down far enough. I can't, so you guys can actually see my feet, so you guys are gonna have to kind of play along and imagine in your mind exactly what I'm doing. You're gonna take on the floor about 3 feet of a distance and mark those on the ground. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna be on one side. If you're on the right side, so you got a right side and left side, at least my right and my left, you're going to, and this is something that I do when I'm doing rehab on my athletes a lot, looking at a little bit of a dynamic balance test, is that you're going to, if you're on the right-hand side, you're gonna be on your right foot. And what you're going to do is you're going to hop from line to line. When you hop to your left foot, you're gonna get your balance position. You're gonna reach down, touch your ankle, come back up, jump to the right side, get your balance, reach down, touch your ankle, and you're gonna do that for a minute, okay? And what you're gonna count is, you're gonna count the number of ankle touches you get in a minute, all right? So moving from right to left, reaching down, touching your ankle, hop to the other side, counting the number of ankle touches. That's your dynamic balance test, number 1. Your second dynamic balance test is just a really simple book walk. So for this one, it's sort of that classic little kind of charm school thing where you're going to put a textbook on your head. You're gonna mark out 10 feet of distance somewhere in your room, in your driveway, outside. If it's nice enough, you're gonna mark a 10-foot distance. You're gonna put the book on your head, and then you're gonna do a really simple heel-toe walk with the book on your head, down the 10 feet, turn around, and come back. Stop your time when you get back to where you started. Okay, so that's the book walk. Again, do that 3 times, get your times, average those 3 times, input that into your Google Docs, all right? So you should have physical characteristic, foot area. You should have 2 static balance tests. You should have 2 dynamic balance tests. That's all that I want you guys to do for this week. Those, preferably, you guys will get those in by Wednesday morning so that I can take a look at that data online, go through some simple things, and with the lecture that we have next Wednesday, I'll go through and talk about how we take a look at that information, how we analyze that information, how we find relationships between 2 sets of data to try to figure out if we can identify what makes one person different from the next, particularly with balance tasks. All right, have a great weekend. Have a joyous Easter. Hopefully you're enjoying some time with your family. Keep up with everything that you're doing. You guys are doing a great job. Again, wish you guys were here. Wish this was a little bit easier, but hang with it and we'll get through it together. Take care.